Pucelle Tactics Ragnarok is the definitive version of Pucelle Tactics, originally released on the PlayStation 2 in 2002. Prior to its release on NIS's third classic collection, Ragnarok was only available on the Japanese market for the PSP, with the PS2 version being the only way to play for Western audiences outside of a fan-translated ROM. As someone who has played the original, I was curious to see what changes were made, and since I was curious, I'm sure there is at least one other person who is too. So here are the updates that I noticed when playing through both games recently. So being kind of a remake, or port, or whatever you want to call it, it should come as no surprise that there are a lot of quality of life improvements, making the experience more aligned with what you'd expect with modern NIS titles. New Game Plus has been implemented, which is a huge deal since it pretty much removes the need to do early power leveling for those who wanted to recruit the bosses. If New Game Plus doesn't sound appealing, there's another option to play an alternate storyline in which Pucelle becomes a demon overlord. Though that's not to be confused with her gaining the title from defeating a level 500 plus demon boss in the Netherworld, because she doesn't actually get that until you do the deed. My personal favorite improvements are the ones that make the game pace faster. Cutscenes and attack animations can now be skipped. Dialogue text speed can also be adjusted to be faster or slower than it was on PlayStation 2. Furthermore, they can preemptively be progressed instead of having to wait for the line to finish prompting. On that note, more dialogues are now voiced so that cutscenes will no longer be silent, an update that doesn't affect much but makes a huge difference to the overall experience. Another change I appreciate having is being asked to save after each chapter. It's great for getting footage with less work, though it probably won't make a difference for most people. Gameplay has also seen a share of good additions. The town has become more lively, with the protagonist hanging out and giving extra flavor dialogue to add context to the story. A music player NPC has also been added to the shop in town for our listening pleasure. The item menu can be sorted a couple of different ways, with weapons first and miscellaneous at the end, or vice versa. And best of all, characters from our favorite NIS games can now be recruited. We have Laharl, Etna, Floan, and Prinny from Disgaea, Rosaline from Disgaea 2, Hero Prinny from Prinny Can I Really Be the Hero? And Cornette from Rhapsody, A Musical Adventure. Oh, I guess Ellie too, who works at the Rosen Queen shop. And let's not forget about combat, an essential part of gameplay that incorporated some new adjustments, making it much more pleasant to play. The character roster can be sorted while in combat, so when new characters join, you can immediately put them in the appropriate slot. The initial tutorial demonstrations can be skipped, though the map still needs to be completed. Players can undo deployment immediately from the base if sending out the wrong character, rather than having to move them off the panel. When attacking enemies for the first time, Pucelle, Colette, and Alouette will make a comment about the monster. A change I find annoying since it can slow down how fast I can complete a map. And skills will now show whether it's a physical or magical attack, so there will be no more confusion. The most significant update allows characters to act again after purifying a dark portal. If a character is on a stream that is purified or inside a miracle attack, they will be able to act again, giving the potential to finish maps before an enemy can even take their turn. I'm also disappointed, but also slightly pleased that enemy directions can no longer be changed because, well, this was a bug that was very helpful for setting up miracle attacks, but an exploit nonetheless. Previously, you could bring up the menu on an enemy by cancelling out of an item that was targeted at that enemy. This caused the direction change command to work on them when it's only really supposed to work on your own characters. So these are some of the most meaningful changes, but there have also been some minor adjustments that I personally think have very little effect on the game, but I will go over anyway. The item and equipment sections are now separated on the menu instead of having to go into the item menu, then into the equipment tab. Two different cursor types can also be selected from, which I like since the old cursor type bothered me as I was very used to how Final Fantasy Tactics work. Maps are no longer pixelated with noise when the DEI reaches higher levels, so it's not impossible to see which section of the map you're going to. Instead, the background turns red. On the main menu, a new option has been added to quit to the title screen instead of having to restart the entire game. And lastly, some people may find this important because of censorship, but the game no longer has the changes made by the original North American publisher, Mastiff Games, in which they removed all religious references like crosses along with nudity in Croix cigarette. Personally, I don't care much because it didn't affect my enjoyment of the game, but I will say it was kind of ridiculous that a game with religion as the basis for a story was changed in such a way. Anyway, that's all the changes I have for Ragnarok. I'm sure there might be some other minor things I missed, but I should have gotten all the big ticket items. La Pucelle was a game I enjoyed playing on the PlayStation 2, and I think it's something a lot of NIS fans will like, especially with the new changes. So if you guys are trying it out for the first time or replaying it, let me know what you guys think of the game. And with that said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.